Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. A full race live stream with a realistic broadcast as usual that we have on the channel. And this is going to be a fun one here. Coming to a very unique racetrack. Of course, a track that NASCAR no longer currently races on. We are at the Rock, North Carolina Speedway at the time, also known as Rockingham. So, this is going to be a pretty fun one. This is a very, very fast 1 mile racetrack, just over 1 mile in length. Lap times will be in that 23-second lap barrier consistently, so very, very fast racetrack. And we're going to get this one in. Ethan, Call 48, Andrew Hollenbach, welcome to the stream, everybody. So here we go, North Carolina Speedway.
We're in Rockingham, North Carolina, home of the North Carolina Speedway. For today's race, the Subway 400. What makes the Rock so tough, Barney?
Tires, and more tires. You've got to take care of your Goodyear Eagles when you come to this place. Otherwise, you'll be sliding up into the wall before you know it.
Greg Biffle has had a couple of incidents on the track with the 37 car.
You know, a little contact now and then is to be expected. The track gets crowded real quickly when you put 43 cars out there. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
After almost 7 full years of racing Winston Cup, Johnny Benson got his first career win here at North Carolina Speedway in 2002.
You know, that race was almost as big a thrill for the fans as it was for him. With his fuel tank almost empty, he managed to hold off a hard-charging Mark Martin to get that first win.
Jeff Green seems to always have to start toward the back at these speedway tracks.
Man, that's true. Maybe he likes having to pass all those cars on a race day. I know I would prefer to start towards the front, and I'm sure he would too. But hey, he'll get there with some patience.
We're going to take you guys through the start of today's race here at the Rock. Canadian Bacon, welcome to the stream also. So here's the starting lineup for today's race. We're going to start things off with the front row. We've got Greg Biffle, Dale Jarrett out there. Biffle, his rough luck continued again with another DNF at New Hampshire. The guy who wiped him out starts right behind him in row 2. Ryan Newman, Bill Elliott. Newman starts inside row 2, comes into this race top 3 in the point standings. Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch will start back in row number 3, both winless this season. Behind those guys in row number 4, we've got Robbie Gordon, Kenny Wallace. Kenny Wallace, good string of luck continues with the qualifying efforts this season. Behind these guys in row number 5, we've got Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart. Stewart comes in as the points leader. Dale Jr. comes in 3rd in points. Behind those guys in row 6, Elliott Sadler, Jeremy Mayfield, both winless on the season. Looking for good luck again here today. Behind those guys, we've got Michael Waltrip and Mark Martin. Martin, one-time winner this year. Waltrip also winless. Behind those guys in row number 8, we've got Bobby Labonte, winner at Pocono 2 races ago, and Kevin Harvick, Daytona 500 winner on this season. Hermie Sadler, Ricky Rudd will make up row number 9. Ricky Rudd also sitting in the top 10 of the point standings. Behind those guys in row number 10, we've got Matt Kenseth, Ward Burton. Ward Burton's had a good string of luck over the last couple of races. In row number 11, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Burton. Achilles heel for Jimmy Johnson's been qualifying mid-pack or worse this season. He'll start mid-pack again today. Ricky Craven, Johnny Benson will make up row number 12. Johnny Benson's only career Cup Series win came over the last couple races as well. Joe Nemechek, Casey Mears, starting in row 14. Jeff Green, Jerry Nadeau back in row 15.
Starting the race from row 16 are the America Online Chevrolet and the Cheerios Dodge.
Steve Park, Christian Fittipaldi back in row 16, row 17. Former 2-time Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte, David Green inside of him. outside of him rather. In row 18, Chase Montgomery, Jamie McMurray. Behind those guys in row 19, we've got Kyle Petty and Brett Bodine. Kevin LePage, Ashton Lewis will be back in row 20. In row 21, we've got Kenny Schrader, Mike Skinner. And Jack Sprague will be rounding out the field by himself, starting last in row 22. Well, guys, take you into this one here today. Everybody's going to be hoping for the best of luck. And the green flag is in the air. Greg Biffle will lead the field to the green, 393 laps around this 1 mile short racetrack. Oh, Dale Jarrett with a little wiggle getting into turn 1 there. Biffle going to easily clear him. No, not quite. What a surge of momentum off of turn 2 by Dale Jarrett. And Jarrett is going to be able to lead lap 1. Big slide getting into the corner there by Biffle. Trying to stay away from Ryan Newman, who wiped him out while Biffle was leading in the last race with about 120 to go. Dale Jarrett checks up going into turn number 1 after leading the first lap. Surging him even further out ahead of the 16 car. I'm not sure why he checked up so much. Biffle slides it down into turn number 3, trying to keep the car pinned to the bottom just in front of Robbie Gordon, who is still to the inside of Newman. Newman clear now for 3rd. This car was not this loose in practice or qualifying. Biffle started on the pole, but it looks very, very loose right now. You have to try to roll through these corners a lot better as this race continues. Ryan Newman's already been passed by Dale Jr. and Robbie Gordon now. Dale Jarrett still out in front of the field, has led the first few laps of the race. It's like Biffle gains a lot of ground into turn 1. Into turn 3, everybody else just kind of gains, if not for Dale Jarrett's sake, pulls away from Greg Biffle a little bit more. Might have to tighten that car up over the course of the race today. Not sure exactly how far we can go on fuel. We just came off a 1 mile racetrack at New Hampshire yesterday where we could run nearly 100 laps on fuel, so maybe that'll be the case again today. If so, we're looking at roughly a 3 pit stop kind of a day for the large majority of the drivers in the field. Biffle's getting back to the gas just a little bit sooner. It's kind of helping straighten the car out, even though it still enters in loose. On exit, it feels perfectly fine. It's just a little loose on entrance. Dale Jr. is broken away from the pack behind him, still trying to work on maybe trying to catch up to Greg Biffle for second place. Biffle needs a complete race today. He led the most laps at New Hampshire, getting 10 bonus points, but only walked away with a 41st place finish after a DNF when Ryan Newman had turned him into the outside wall off of turn 4 with about 120 or so laps to go. Biffle is very well going to be committed to perhaps wiping out Ryan Newman every single time he sees him today. He retaliated on him about 50 laps into the race, and Newman came back and took him out for a 4th race in a 5-race stretch. And Biffle is definitely fed up with it and had enough with it. And because we DNF'd early enough in the race yesterday, we weren't going to do another NASCAR Thunder 04 race this week, but I decided to do one today because it kind of came to an end prematurely, and I didn't have enough time for myself to get another stream in for NASCAR Heat 5 yesterday. So we moved the Chicagoland race that was supposed to be for the Xfinity Series today back to tomorrow. Again, those are already ready to go. It's just a matter of me actually getting them set to go, obviously. Luke Addison, welcome to the stream. Dale Jarrett just walked away from Greg Biffle. Robbie Gordon sitting himself in fourth place rather. He has gotten around Ryan Newman. Still can't really pull away from him. Newman's still stalking him for that fourth position. Biffle seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable over the course of the run, and I think we're going to see that over the course as the laps wind on. He had the fastest car in practice and the fastest car in qualifying, obviously qualifying on the pole. But Dale Jarrett with great takeoff speed there. And that was very interesting because it looked like Jarrett kind of spun the tires on the initial start on that outside lane. Of course, Jarrett started in second place and still cleared Biffle off of turn 2. I think it took Biffle by surprise, but he was able to hold on to second there for a little bit, despite Ryan Newman and Robbie Gordon breathing down his neck. But once we got a couple laps in, things have settled itself out. Lap traffic will be a huge point of emphasis once again today. Very unique racetrack. I would say the most comparable racetrack would be Richmond, but Richmond is a lot flatter than this racetrack. This has a lot more banking to it, 20 to 22 degrees of banking in the corners around this racetrack. It sets itself apart from any other track on this 2003 schedule. Or custom schedule, I should say. Almost got in the wall there off of turn 4. Kind of pushed it maybe a little bit. .2 second lead now for Dale Jarrett. I think Biffle will be content with running second all day. Again, he just needs some solid points days, and he's going to need a lot of them to get back into this championship hunt as soon as he can. He fell from 13th to 16th in the point standings after that DNF yesterday at New Hampshire. Finds himself 531 points off the lead coming into today. The good news is we still have 21 races left coming into this race, 20 more after the conclusion of this race. So there is still plenty of time. We're not quite halfway through the season, but I don't know if he can really afford to DNF probably more than maybe one more time. Already 7 DNFs on the season. You get into 8 and it's already tough to win a championship being season long like this. But his 5 wins have definitely helped keep him in the top half of the point standings. Not a very long winless streak compared to some of these other drivers. Jeff Gordon did get his second win of the season yesterday as well at New Hampshire. Led some laps really early in the race, was able to get back to the lead by the end of it. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Jeff Gordon won. I'm like 80% sure. I don't know why I was having a brain fart with that coming into this race. That's something I definitely should have looked up. It's something I should have known, but Biffle's still a little loose on corner entry. Dale Jr. hasn't gotten close enough to his back bumper to where he can make him move whenever Biffle kind of slides into the corner like he has. Dale Jarrett's just on another planet right now with how fast he is. I mean, he has walked away from the field. Nothing but clean air in front of him. Still nowhere close to really lap traffic at all, despite the laps winding by quickly. Seems like most of the pack is still fairly clogged together. Last lap, Biffle was able to pull away from Junior a little bit more. Got through 3 and 4 perfectly that time. Didn't slide the tires at all. Saw the exhaust coming out of the 8 of Junior's car. Middle of turns 3 and 4 back there. Not sure why the crew chief was saying 3.5 when it was 3.2, but 3.2 seconds off the lead. Second lap in a row, he rolled into turns 3 and 4 quite a bit better. Kind of braking just a tad bit earlier. He tried to set the car before he has to turn off into the entrance of the corner. Seems to be helping it a little bit. definitely driving it in a lot deeper 1 and 2, but it seems to be working out. Again, on that area of the racetrack, just trying to figure out turns 3 and 4. So we are in the early going of this race today. A little bit faster than Dale Jarrett that last lap, as well as Dale Jr. pulling even further away from the 8 car. Going to try to stretch this opening fuel run out as far as he possibly can, get a good estimate of how far exactly he can go on a full tank of fuel around this racetrack. Next race on the schedule is the Coke 600, longest race of the season, another crown jewel event. But before that, we have the All-Star race. Both of those 2 races will be next week. Go back to NASCAR Heat 5 before long. Tomorrow, to be exact. Again, next full race live stream, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Chicagoland, NASCAR Xfinity Series for that championship mode. Final season for the Xfinity Series on NASCAR Heat 5. Biffle still reeling in Jarrett, slowly but surely. His lap time's been a little bit faster than Jarrett's the last few laps, 2.8 off the lead now. He's been about a tenth or two faster the last 4 or 5 laps, after Jarrett was able to pull out to about a 3.5 second lead. Jarrett hasn't caught the lap traffic yet, so that's good for Biffle to know that he's gaining time without Jarrett being in lap traffic so far. There's a big slide into turn 1. Not as big as we've seen going into turn 1 for Biffle. Yeah, Deegan wouldn't be going to Penske. I highly doubt that, if that was ever going to play into effect. Because you got to figure Austin Cindric, definitely has a good opportunity there. We never know if they might open up a 4th car for Matty D. I don't see Deegan replacing any of those guys, so. Even if Brad retires again, Cindric would be the next waiting in line for that. And Kurt Busch will likely be retired by the time she comes up there. I did see that in the comment section also. So Biffle started closing in on Jarrett for about 5 or 6 laps, and then Jarrett has been faster than Biffle the last 2 laps now. Maybe noticing, okay, maybe I want to pick up the pace just a little bit. He's starting to close in interval-wise. Jarrett's crew chief, I'm sure, was awareing him of the situation. Biffle again faster that last lap, so these guys are trading back and forth. Who's faster when? Less than a tenth of a second faster that last lap there by Biffle. Again, gradual gains. Jarrett's about to hit lap traffic for the first time today. Fuel tank's about half empty. So I guess it's going to be closer to Dover, the 1 mile racetrack we were at before New Hampshire, about 3 or 4 races ago. We were able to run about 65 to 70 laps on fuel. Looks like we could run close to 70 laps on a full fuel tank here at Rockingham. 2.3. Biffle was a heck of a lot faster than Jarrett the last lap, but Jarrett has caught lap traffic, no longer has any sort of clean air. That just kind of gone to Biffle for the time being. And Biffle won't have clean air for much longer either. Maybe see the lap time start to even back out again. I guess it depends on how fast Dale Jarrett can get through the lap traffic as well, of course. A 1.6 off the lead. Jarrett finally into the inside of his first lap car as the tires are slowly starting to wear out more and more over the course of this opening run of the race. Biffle feeling comfortable, despite it being pretty loose in. Both ends of the track, turns 1 and turn 3. Another 1/10 of a second faster that last lap. And that was despite Jarrett being in lap traffic. Biffle still has not yet caught the lap traffic. Probably next lap will be first lap car he's going to catch. And I believe that might be Chase Montgomery, it looks like. And it is Chase Montgomery in the 27. Rookie. Usually gets him into the braking zone, and Biffle just can't get the accelerator down off of turn 2. He struggles to clear cars there. We saw that on the initial start with Dale Jarrett. Despite the fact he was able to outbrake Montgomery, he couldn't pull up and clear him. Should be able to get him this time in 1 and 2. Yeah, he clears them even before they get into turn 1, so that'll help. Dale Jarrett has led every lap of the early going of the race here. North Carolina Speedway. Saw Biffle's car bottom out that time going into turn 3. Loose moment into turn 1. Old contact with Kevin LePage. The rival of David Green up here. Biffle almost got the wall off of turn 2. That's something he hasn't done yet. He hasn't bounced it off the wall. Show again how clean he's running right now. Jarrett has been stuck in this heavy lap traffic. I believe he's on the outside up there. And that is allowed Biffle to close the gap, but 3 wide going into turn 1 is very tight around this racetrack, and Biffle couldn't hold on to it. So both the two leaders of Greg Biffle and Dale Jarrett are struggling mightily through the lap traffic. Trying to get a good drive off of turn 4. He's finally able to clear Brett Bodine. Trying to go after LePage again. 3 wide into the corner. Underneath Mike Skinner. A little contact with Skinner. David Green tries to wipe out Greg Biffle. Gonna eject David Green back a little bit further. Biffle's having a hard time trying to hang on to his race car. And that allows Dale Jarrett to pull away a little bit more again. Oh, into the back of Mike Skinner. And now Mike Skinner's upset with Biffle. Second time he's already gotten into him, and Skinner almost slid up into the lap car of Ashton Lewis to his outside. Those two are battling for position, despite being a lap down. Biffle to the inside of Mike Skinner. Trying to hopefully clear him and maybe Jack Sprague into turns 1 and 2. Biffle slides up the track. Jack Sprague back to the bottom. Oh, Biffle got the wall off of turn 2. Luckily, Sprague's not upset enough to wipe out the 16 if he gets a chance, so I guess that might make it an easier pass for Biffle to get around Sprague. But Sprague trying to pull the block. Biffle has to go high, lock the brakes. He almost got into the wall into turn 1. That was a close call. So Sprague kind of holding up Greg Biffle. Biffle crosses him back over to the inside. Got a good drive off of turn 4, clears him before they get into turn 1. Pushes up the track a little bit, trying to get the throttle down. Sprague wasn't close enough to cross him back over, so back on the attack now to hopefully catching Dale Jarrett, who has led nearly the first 50 laps of the race now. Likely will once we get there. I don't see him losing the lead in the next couple laps. Wiggle there by not only Biffle, but even Ken Schrader on the outside. Got a little loose in turns 1 and 2. Biffle able to get around him. Had to wait till turns 3 and 4. Gets underneath Steve Park now, so there's Jarrett leading to lap 50. Look at how hard onto the brakes Biffle went through 1 and 2 to get around Kenny Wallace now. Jarrett gets the drive off of turn 2, though. Biffle trying to hold off the lap car there of Kenny Wallace, who's trying to get back to the inside of Biffle. Biffle barely keeps it off of him, now drives it to the inside of Dale Jarrett himself. Side by side for the lead. Into turn 1. Biffle slides up in front of Jarrett. Can Jarrett get a drive off of turn 2? He did earlier, not that time. Biffle cuts him off. Jarrett's in the wall. Kenny Wallace runs into the back of Dale Jarrett. Biffle drives away. We stay green. There was no contact between the 88 and the 16, but Jarrett got the wall pretty harshly there, and Kenny Wallace ran right into the back of him. And there's the first 5 bonus points of the day for Biffle and his team as he'll lead his first lap of the race. A little bit of a major incident there, taking out probably the fastest race car, and has dropped him instantly 2.5 seconds off the lead. As we get closer to the end of this fuel run here, these guys can maybe go a little less than 20 more laps before we'll see our first pit stops of the day if we don't get a caution. 2.8 second lead at the line officially there for Biffle. Christian Fittipaldi almost got in the wall too. Biffle really has to protect the bottom. It doesn't matter who it is. They seem to almost cross him over every time in turns 3 and 4. A lot better roll through turns 3 and 4 that time. Hermie Sadler maybe trying to block. Fully able to outbrake him into turn 1. Barely pulls up and clears him, but at least he cleared him nonetheless. Gets a good drive off in turn 2. Pulls away from him slightly. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. Oh, man. Oh, big moment. Biffle trying to catch the car, but he couldn't. At least it was a light hit into the wall when he did get up into it. Because that could have been a lot worse, the way he was angled going off into turn 3. Really the center of the corner when it started to work back up the track again. Now there's some contact between Hermie Sadler and Greg Biffle in turns 1 and 2. Biffle can't quite get back around the 0-2 car, and that is allowed over the last couple of corners for Dale Jarrett to close in slightly on the 16 car once again. Everybody will likely keep working on their race cars throughout the course of the day to try and get them a little bit faster and a little bit faster over the course of this race. To wait and see, maybe some of the leaders try to short pit here. Ground has been made up by Dale Jr. and Ryan Newman in 3rd and 4th on the 88 of Dale Jarrett, who is in 2nd. Jarrett trying to go for his first win of the season. Comes into this race top 5 in the point standings, and he is within 1 race mathematically of the points lead. So for Dale Jarrett, he is having a quiet but good season. 2 seconds off the lead for him right now, and you can see all the tires on Greg Biffle's Ford wearing out pretty considerably. I can almost guarantee when Hailie Deegan makes it, if obviously and when she makes it up to Cup, I would have to imagine she'd have a pretty solid ride. Just the amount of sponsorship that she's bringing in, you know, and would likely bring into the sport. It'd be hard for a top-tier ride not to bring her in, even just with the sponsorship alone. That's without, like, proving herself. If she can prove herself in the Xfinity and Truck Series as well, then obviously that's only going to greater those odds. But that's kind of the path I feel like she'd be going on. She definitely seems to have quite a bit of financial backing. Right to that left rear corner panel of rookie Casey Mears. Couple of rookies there, if you consider Biffle's still a rookie. And trying to go for that Winston Cup championship at season's end. Not really in the running currently, but can't count him out of it yet. Not quite halfway through the season. Not going to count us out of it until we're mathematically out of it. Every race matters so much. The season-long points format. I mean, it matters with any format. General speaking of it. But this, probably more so than any other. So first of the leaders are on pit road currently. Laps 63 and 64. Again, Biffle's going to try to stay out as long as he can here. This is the opportunity, though, for Dale Jarrett to maybe short pit and get back to the lead. Jarrett's teammate, Elliott Sadler, trying to hold up Biffle and hold on to the lead lap as well. Biffle gets a great drive off of turn 4. Off of turn 4 into turn 1 is definitely the best half of the track by Biffle. Where he lacks is off of turn 2 into turn 3, it seems like. But see how this is going to go. This is a very narrow and tight, difficult pit road to get onto for green flag stops, so Biffle's definitely going to have to be careful as well, not to lock the brakes too much with that very tight pit road entrance. About a 4.3 second lead on Dale Jarrett. Biffle's going to clear Rusty Wallace into turn 3. I was wondering if he was going to be able to clear him before turn 3, and he was able to get to the bottom, luckily, and it's kind of opened up for him there. So it looks like more than a 3 pit stop day if we're pitting this early in the race. Biffle trying to push this fuel window as long as he possibly can. About 0.8 of a gallon left still. Dale Jarrett is on pit road, or has already made his pit stop, so he has short pitted on Biffle, at least by a little bit. Biffle rides up the track. Rusty Wallace now to his inside. It's going to force Biffle to have to make another lap. I guess Rusty wasn't all the way to the inside, but Biffle should be able to make it an extra lap. So at lap 69, Greg Biffle will make his way to pit road. He's already on the inside going into turn 3. He's going to cut down to the apron. A little bit of a slide there getting into turn 3. He washed back up the track. Kind of into Rusty Wallace's left rear a little bit. Make sure you do not speed there, and he did not. So, pit stops for the first time today. 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel coming for the 16 team. I don't know if NASCAR is going to get rid of the yellow line rule, but I think most people are in agreement that they probably should. That includes myself. So pretty fast pit stop there for Greg Biffle. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel. No adjustments under that stop here. Just trying to get the car back out in front of Dale Jarrett, and he did not. It doesn't look like it, at least. Biffle comes back up the racetrack. We'll see at the start-finish line who's actually in the lead. Actually, the race leader's on pit road. We stayed out an extra lap compared to Greg Biffle. Made it to lap 70, it looked like. So Biffle back on the track. That was Ricky Rudd who was able to stay out. Good for Ricky Rudd. Again, top 10 in the point standings. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's got a car that can win the race today, but he got 5 bonus points by staying out an extra lap longer than everybody. That could be good. Jarrett, who we know is pretty fast, so we'll see how Jarrett might be able to go on the attack as Biffle is struggling around Kyle Petty in the 45 right now. Pretty good allies with one another. Worked with each other pretty well in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona a handful of races ago, as well at Pocono. Jared about 0.3 of a second quicker that last lap, with Biffle caught in heavy traffic right now, right around Jerry Nadeau and Kyle Petty. Petty got right back around him off of turn 2. He just can't steal the deal and clear him off of turn 2. You can see the drive he gets in 3 and 4. He gets under him, gets a good drive into turn 1, can't get that same drive on corner exit to clear Kyle Petty. Is he going to be able to do it here? Yes, he is. Slid up right in front of him. Petty gonna maybe look to the inside, try to cross him back over. Biffle wiggled a little bit into turn 3, and Petty is gonna get to the bottom. Jerry Nadeau could not, unfortunately, and good battle back and forth here between the two, despite it not being for position. And Dale Jarrett is now within 2.2 seconds. It is amazing how fast he has reeled in Greg Biffle. He had a couple lap fresher tires to help close that gap. Remember, he was about 4.5 seconds off the lead coming into the pits. And he pitted 2 to 3 laps before Biffle, so he gained a little time there also. Biffle having 2 to 3 lap fresher tires than Jarrett isn't going to make any difference, so it's a good move by Jarrett coming to pit road just a couple laps earlier. You never know what this race could turn into. I say that time and time again, it only proves to be true the more races we log in, especially on this game in particular. Seems like Biffle's car is a little more stable this run. I don't know why. Might just be the fresher tires as well in the early going of the run. Again, less than 10 laps on the track on these tires. It's probably helping quite a bit, I'd have to imagine. Biffle's still got Nadeau in between him and Jarrett too, so that'll help a little bit. See, the thing with Pocono, though, it sets itself apart being unique, for a reason. I get what you're saying, though, with, different variety of racetracks. And Pocono having its uniqueness, they should have something else like it. But I wouldn't say another track exactly like Pocono. Yeah, Jarrett's caught some pretty heavy lap traffic back there. That's kind of allowing him to not really close the gap anymore on Biffle. He was within 1 second. Now he's a second and a half back, so it's really kind of held him up a little bit. I think Bobby Labonte in third place is slowly closing in on those guys as well. Current hot streaks coming into today's race. Drivers like Labonte who have won within the last 2. Dale Jr.'s won 2 of the last 6. Jeff Green, 2 of the last 5. Pretty solid runs in between there as well. And, of course, Dale Jarrett has had a quiet but good season, but especially as of late, that's why he's in the top 5 of the point standings. Tim Irvin, Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. Almost a lap 100 here. We'll contact again. Time it was with Ashton Lewis. He's about to go 2 laps down. It's going to cost Biffle quite a bit of time. Look at how much Lewis was able to get more momentum than Biffle. Biffle had to lift maybe a little more after the contact. Oh, man, again. Guys check up into turn 1 quite a bit. Lewis probably not very happy with Greg Biffle there. And it's the third time Biffle's just kind of ran into the back of somebody. Obviously on accident, but try to get around Ashton Lewis as quick as he can here. And Biffle pulls up. Oh, right in front of him there. Biffle almost got the wall, and Chase Montgomery ran right into the side of him. And that sends Biffle into the wall just a tad bit. And all of a sudden, Dale Jarrett is close to the back bumper as Biffle tries to cross back over on Chase Montgomery. So Jarrett all over the back of the 16 for the lead all of a sudden. Jarrett looking low. Biffle sliding into turns 3 and 4, trying to hold on to the lead, and does off of turn 4 for at least another lap. And how about Bobby Labonte closing that gap on the top 2? He's only 1.6 seconds off the lead. Labonte could very well be the fastest car on the track now. And as the 88 and the 16 start to battle with one another, that could really bring Labonte into the battle a lot quicker. Still got a few more lap cars to work with. This lap car right here of Ashton Lewis not going to give Biffle a very easy time right now. So Biffle's going to try to outbrake him into turn 1. And he's going to try to pull up and clear him this time. A lot more stable with the clearance. Oh, Lewis got the wall. That's going to check up Dale Jarrett. Remember, Jarrett got the wall similar to that off of turn 2 earlier, which kind of dropped him back to about 4.5 seconds. Jarrett got costed maybe a couple tenths there, nowhere near as much as when Jarrett had hit the wall. Biffle slides up the track through turns 1 and 2 there, but now he's got about an 1/8 of a second lead over Dale Jarrett all of a sudden. Jarrett had to get around Ashton Lewis, took a little bit of time with Lewis getting into the wall right in front of him. Parkway intros, welcome to the stream. Oh, and there's another slide in the wall, that time in turns 3 and 4. Bobby Labonte has taken over second place from Dale Jarrett. Rusty Wallace now is less than 5 seconds off the lead in 4th. Big run by Labonte, contact between the top 2. Biffle kind of squeezed Labonte into the wall a little bit. Now gets loose on the other end of the track through turns 3 and 4. And Labonte will get 5 bonus points for leading his first lap of the race. But he hasn't cleared the 16 of Biffle. Biffle's got the advantage on the bottom. Tries to pull up in front of Labonte again. Labonte puts the bumper to Biffle, and in the wall goes Biffle. And Jarrett is going to jump to the lead after the contact between the 16 and the 18. Good old short track racing there. And Biffle lost about 2 seconds of ground. Rusty Wallace still trying to close in on those guys. Don't forget about Newman back in 5th. About 5 seconds off the lead still. And Biffle's got a lot more heavier lap traffic to deal with all of a sudden. A little chain reaction moment there. 3 wide off of turn 4 now. Nadeau had to check up behind Lewis. Biffle got in the back of Nadeau, and then Sadler got in the back of Biffle. Turns 3 and 4 that last time. That set up 3 wide on the exit of the corner. Biffle slides it in there, trying to get underneath Nadeau once again. He'll clear him. Off of turn 4. So about 3 seconds off the lead. Bobby Labonte leading his first laps of the race today. And Joe Gibbs Racing Chevrolet. Jarrett Labonte Jarrett and Labonte, I should say, are battling for the lead quite a bit right now, and that has allowed Biffle to close in about a half a second in 2 laps. Pretty fun race up to this point. Still caution free. But nothing short of excitement has been going on pretty much all race. Some of the tougher breaks for Greg Biffle have come this year when he's had the fastest car. You can argue 3 races where he had the fastest car by far and got taken out of a win. Obviously, the most recent was last night at New Hampshire. Martinsville, another one of those races where he led a couple hundred laps and got taken out before the end. And Texas was only about 60 laps away from the finish. Had led only about 50 laps, but he was in the lead at the time and in good position to win it before Hermie Sadler had taken him out in that one. Rival of David Green up ahead right here for Biffle. Biffle trying to clear him. And he will off of turn 2. He'll try to keep that 37 car behind him if he can. Sliding it in there pretty hard too. Trying to make sure that 37 doesn't get back to his door and try to door slam him. Saw Newman right hook Biffle yesterday off of turn 4. Again, while Biffle was leading, that cost him a chance to obviously win the race. And he DNF. Went from leading the race, about 120 to go on a shorter racetrack, to 41st place finish. That is a tough break, after leading the most laps too. Biffle running down the top 2, 1.7 off the lead. Jarrett slipped back a little bit. He's about a little less than a half a second behind Dale Jarrett. Bobby Labonte, rather. My name's scrambled up tonight, too. Biffle's closing in pretty closely on Jarrett. He's less than a second behind him off of turn 4 that time. About in his draft. Ooh, Jack Sprague held up Jarrett on corner entry into turn 1 as well. Big run into 1 and 2 to get around the lap car of Sprague. Oh, a little contact. Biffle slid up right into him. Almost had him clear, but not quite. Biffle carries on. Very minimal contact. Sprague not too upset with it. And Jarrett is closed back in on Bobby Labonte once again at the start-finish line there. About a 1/10 of a second off the lead. Big run there into turn 1 as Biffle gets into the back of Kevin LePage. LePage was who held up Labonte to allow Dale Jarrett to get to the back of him. It's about to be a 3-car battle for the lead once again here, just past the 100 lap mark in the race. And LePage gets back around Jarrett. That's going to allow Biffle to get underneath of both LePage and Jarrett. 3 wide into turns 1 and 2 maybe? No, not quite. Side by side. Oh, contact! 1688. Jarrett holds on to second for now. Biffle trying to get right back under him off of turn 4 again. Trying to get underneath the 57 of LePage, who is just kind of in the way right now. Biffle again gets loose into turn 1. He can't hang on to the race car and stay in front of these guys. Mike Skinner now holding up LePage. Excuse me for pausing it for a quick second. Get my laptop on a charger here. I didn't realize I didn't have it plugged in. I don't want the battery to die and cut the stream. There we go. We're good. Ooh, that's maybe not the best place to pause it. Biffle on the inside of Mike Skinner. Trying to pull up and clear him, and he does. Kevin LePage trying to get to the inside of Skinner as well here. And Labonte again is pulled away from Jarrett. Biffle trying to reel in Jarrett. Ryan Newman has jumped up to 4th place on Rusty Walls a few laps ago. He's 5.5 seconds off the lead. Jarrett with a block into turns 1 and 2, trying to hold Biffle behind him. Great drive off of turn 2 there. Jarrett by far beat Biffle back to the gas. Guys can go anywhere between lap 130 to 140 before the second set of pit stops today. Biffle to the inside of Jarrett now going into turn 1. And Greg Biffle will take over the second position, slide up and easily clear the 88 car off of turn 2. And Bobby Labonte not too much further ahead. Slide into the corners. 16 tries to keep the 88 behind him. Labonte's cut to the side of a lap car of McMurray. Labonte maybe trying to block for the lead. They're 3 wide into turn 1. Labonte led the last lap, but it'll be Greg Biffle sliding up in front of Labonte and McMurray to get to the lead. And Labonte almost got in the wall. McMurray trying to get back on the lead lap. And now Biffle gets loose into turns 3 and 4, giving up the bottom of the track. Luckily, it was the lap car of McMurray to get under there first and not Labonte. Biffle holds on to the lead. A lead change at the line. Biffle back out in front. Oh, Brett Bodine into the wall. Might have gotten crowded by the 16, but there was no contact between the 2 cars. And Labonte will get around Bodine. Returns 3 and 4 because of it. Yeah, the logo right now, currently for my channel, with Ryan Blaney's car, is also my wallpaper on my phone. I took that picture when I was the weekend of the Charlotte Roval in 2019. I went to the Penske race shop the next day, and they were taking the decaling off of that car that he ran at the Roval, and they were putting his Duracell paint scheme together for Dover for the following week. And I took a picture of that before they peeled off the PPG sponsor that was on the car from the Roval. So that's an actual picture of the car. I got a comment about it being a NASCAR Heat 5 car for NASCAR Thunder 04 game. I tried to correct it in the comment section before this and state that it is actually a real car. It, now when he mentioned that though, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, you know what? I could see it does look like it almost doesn't look real, but it is real. I think it's just how clean the car is. And it was in the shop, it's making it look kind of real. Well, Canadian Bacon, there you go. Coincidental, there we go. That makes sense. Johnny Benson. Biffle trying to slide his way around him. He'll clear him. Barely, but he cleared him. Turns 1 and 2, lightly trying to pull away from both Labonte and Jarrett. Biffle slides up the track. Benson looking to get under him. 3 wide off of turn 4 and tight contact between Joe Nemechek and Greg Biffle. Just less than a 1.5 second lead at the line. That was really tight. Biffle was trying to hold his line, and there's just not enough room really to make a move like that on this racetrack. You've seen how tight it is when they are 3 wide. I think that's the first time we've seen contact when cars were 3 wide today, but it didn't surprise me we went that long. Or we weren't going to get to the end of the race, I should say, without something like that happening. It's kind of a normal thing on this tight of a track. It'd be very difficult to pass. Yeah, so we got 2 Darlington races on this season. Again, this is custom schedule season for Thunder 04. And the first one, I believe, is within the next 5 races, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like race 19 or something like that. I think it's race 19 in the season, right after our second Talladega race. Ooh. Brushed into the wall there, getting into turn 1. And that is the 400-mile race. And then the Southern 500, the 500-miler, is the final race of the season. So you want to go in with a pretty substantial lead, because that's going to be a tough race. 500 miles at Darlington to try and get to the end of the race with this game, let alone trying to win the title. So you better have a pretty sizable points lead. You do not want to be sitting in a tight points battle going into that. Oh, contact there. Biffle tried to pull in line behind Fittipaldi, and he kind of clipped him a little bit, but luckily both cars keep it straight. About as straight as they could. And Biffle clears him off at turn 4. So Labonte closing that gap again. Again, the lead fluctuating back and forth quite a bit today, and mainly between Jarrett and Biffle, and then you've seen Labonte over these last 30 or 40 laps kind of get his way into it, lead some laps himself there as well. And it's because of the lap traffic around this track. You get that with short track racing. That's what makes it so fun. Seen a lot of moving chicanes, so to speak, around these racetracks. Fun to watch the leaders trying to maneuver around the track and the lap cars itself, and it makes for very fun and entertaining racing. And for the drivers and fans alike. Oh man, there was a hit into the wall off of turn 4. Biffle just trying to take care of his car to the end of the run. Getting pretty close here. Again, we are within about 10 to 15 laps away from green flag stops. Some cars are already on pit road, trying to short pit right now. Biffle doesn't have as big of a lead before pit stops this time. He had a 4.5 second lead on Dale Jarrett when Jarrett was in second earlier. Biffle hustles around Ashton Lewis, not wasting any time with him. And it is one of his rivals. 3.7 second lead at the line, by the way, for Biffle that time on Bobby Labonte, who is now in second. It has been in second since Biffle has taken the lead away from Labonte. Labonte trying to get a good stretch of races here. If he wins today, that'd be 2 of the last 3 races he will have won. Again, he won at Pocono 2 races ago. And Labonte's on pit road, so he is short pitting here by quite a bit. Biffle is not scheduling to come to pit road for about another 6 to 8 laps. He can make it on fuel. Dale Jarrett on pit road now. So Jarrett pitting even more before Biffle this time compared to the first time, and Labonte is definitely short pitting by quite a bit, so we'll have to see who might cycle into the lead. Again, Biffle had a 3.7 second lead the time into the pit stop, so he might still cycle out in front. Saw Ricky Rudd stay out the longest last time. We'll see if Rudd might stay out the longest again this time. He's already led a lap, though, so it'll be interesting to see if he actually does it again. And he's likely not going to be in contention to lead the most laps if he's only playing that kind of a game today and not really competitive enough to stay with the leaders to the end of the race. But again, still caution-free, lap 133. North Carolina Speedway, Rockingham, North Carolina. Also known as The Rock. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the only race at this track this season. Although in real life in 2003 they had 2 dates here. 3 wide into turn 1. That got tight contact there with Jeff Burton and Greg Biffle, a couple of Roush Fenway teammates. Wow, that was a dangerous situation there. Biffle almost went head-on into the wall. Doesn't take much to get hung up on another car, especially as they were 3 wide going into turn 1. McMurray's going to clear Burton that time, so at least they're side by side into turn 1 this time around. And Biffle's going to clear McMurray cleanly that time. Again, Biffle very close to the end of his fuel run here. He can go maybe 2 or 3 more laps. He went 69 laps on the opening run of the race before bringing it to pit road. So if he goes another 69, that would put him to lap 138 before bringing it into the pits, which is likely what he's going to be looking at here. Second of what will likely be a 4 pit stop day. And again, caution free, so each of the first 2 stops will both be under green flag conditions. Yeah, only a few cars on the lead lap currently, but again, we're in the middle of green flag pit stops right now. So that is the reason for it. Again, Biffle only had a 3.7 second lead on Bobby Labonte before the pit stop started, so we're going to see that come back down. Greg Biffle's going to pit this time by. Tony Stewart's still on the racetrack as well here. So Biffle, diving to the inside. Man, that car got loose, and Jimmy Johnson runs right into the back of him. Biffle did that earlier, but last time he slid up, barely making contact with Rusty Walls. Some pretty heavy damage now to be repaired. Luckily, there was no accident there, but Johnson rear-ended Greg Biffle pretty harshly. There's a lot of damage now to repair. This can make for a lot slower stop. Biffle's stop last time was about a 16.4. He had about 18.4 that time, so 2 seconds longer than his first pit stop. And tough to say if everybody has actually cycled through their pit stops or not right now. So the car is most of the way back to the way it was. And there's Dale Jarrett. Not too far behind Greg Biffle. Labonte is likely going to cycle through as the race leader. Tony Stewart just now coming to pit road. So, yeah, Labonte will likely be the race leader when everything cycles through. Again, he pitted before both Jarrett and Biffle. Biffle still comes out in front of Jarrett, despite Jarrett pitting a little bit before Biffle by about 4 or 5 laps. Labonte came about 7 or 8 laps early, plus he was in second place. And that is the difference there. So just less than 3 seconds off the lead. Top 3 have become the top 3 again. Just a little bit of changing into the order between first and second. So Labonte back out in front, leading laps for the second time today at Rockingham. Yeah, you're right there, Michael. I did my math wrong. It's likely looking like a 5 pit stop race today. Pitting every 69 laps at the most is what it looks like we could run on fuel. So we should be able to go just past the 200 lap mark before the next pit stop. It might even be a 6-stop race now that I'm thinking about it. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Again, we don't know what the cautions outlook could be like. Again, we haven't had a caution yet today. And we've only had one race go caution-free, and that was the Daytona 500. Believe it or not. Everybody else, he might be working on his car, getting a little bit faster perhaps throughout the course of the day. We have seen that out of Newman a lot recently. That could give him a shot to get back into this over the course of the race. Biffle and Newman really haven't been around one another today, despite the fact Biffle started on the pole and Newman started third. But we all know what might happen there. I think every time Biffle sees Ryan Newman, he's probably going to think about turning him. throughout the course of this race, if they see each other, of course. About a third of the way home, and still have not seen one another. Wide going into turn 1. That's tight. Biffle all the way on the inside. That's going to cost him time. Had to really check up there and just kind of let Johnny Benson, I believe it was Kenny Wallace, up ahead. And look at how fast Ryan Newman has reeled in Dale Jarrett now for third. Jarrett was able to catch up to Biffle in 1 and 2. Biffle pulls back away from him in 3 and 4. Oh, Biffle into the back of another one of his rivals there, David Green. As Newman tries to go for third place on Dale Jarrett. Biffle to the inside of David Green, trying to stay out of his way. They go off into turn 1. Biffle drives it in hard to the inside of Mayfield. A little contact. Can't clear Mayfield. He's still ahead of Green. Quite a bit, too. Another wash up the track and more contact between the 19 and the 16. And Biffle sees Ryan Newman coming. He has gotten around Dale Jarrett now for third place. Trying to run down Biffle. More contact now with Johnny Benson. Biffle maybe getting a little desperate to try and get away from Newman. Let's put a couple more lap cars in between them. That's going to help a little bit. To the inside of Casey Mears as well. He's trying to race these guys clean. Again, want the longevity of the race to continue. Just keep repairing on whatever damage he has every time he comes to pit road. He didn't have to repair damage the first time they hit pit road. That second time they obviously did, especially with the contact with Jimmy Johnson right before they came to pit road. Yeah, the strange thing is, too, about the 500 going caution-free is the Pepsi 400, we had a handful of cautions in that race. Most of them in the second half of the race, so it's just kind of crazy how things worked out the way they did. The Daytona 500 to go caution-free. And again, that's set up for Harvick to literally be the only driver to make it on 4 pit stops. Everybody else made 5. Suckered everybody, and he won by about 20 seconds. Would have never happened if we would have had just one caution at any point throughout the 500 miles and 200 laps of that race. Oh, Herbie Sadler got in the wall, may have gotten squeezed by Biffle. Wasn't any contact. Might slow up Ryan Newman a little bit, who was, again, trying to reel in the 16 car. Biffle to the inside of Mike Skinner. I'm surprised these rivals haven't really done much to Greg Biffle today, and I'm very surprised. I think the only time we even saw one try to purposely make contact was David Green in the first 100 laps of the race in the center of 1 and 2, but outside of that, every time he's gotten to these guys, he's passed them so quickly and stays so far below them, mainly down the front stretch. They don't really take a swing at him. I think Biffle would like to keep it that way.
Best place for him is in your rear view mirror.
Bobby Labonte has a 3.8 second lead on Greg Biffle right now. That's his largest lead of the race. Again, trying to go for 2 wins in a 3-race stretch, perhaps. Ryan Newman, who hasn't won a single race this year, coming off a runner-up finish at New Hampshire yesterday. And that was after barrel rolling in the first 50 laps of the race. Great performance out of him. He's Despite the fact of the run-in with the 16, of course, he had. Allowing that rivalry to continue when I'm sure Biffle and many people thought it was over. Biffle's not really closing in on Labonte either. He's staying pretty equal with him. He is slowly pulling away from Ryan Newman again, but that's been fluctuating back and forth. Much like you saw with Dale Jarrett, the first 50 or 60 laps of the race between Jarrett and Biffle. Where Jarrett led just over the first 50 laps. They were just kind of fluctuating back and forth of who was faster, who wasn't, after Jarrett had pulled out to about a 3.5 second lead. Ooh. Hard on the brakes into turn one. Right in the middle of the corner, too. He had a big run on the back of his teammate, Jeff Burt. Remember, those two got together before the last set of green flag pit stops, so I'm sure he didn't want to get into his teammate again. Definitely a rookie mistake he did not want to have. Especially trying to close in on Labonte for the lead as much as he can as well. The next set of pit stops we're likely looking at about lap 207 would be the next scheduled stop for Greg Biffle. That would be 40 laps away from now. And that would be the third pit stop of the day if we do stay green to that point. About 2.6 seconds now off the race lead. Newman's closing the gap on Labonte as well. He's just not really closing the gap consistently on Greg Biffle. Biffle and Newman do look like the two fastest cars on the track, with Biffle probably being the second fastest car on the track right now. Petty almost got in the back of Biffle that time. Turns 1 and 2. Somebody we haven't really seen much today is Tony Stewart, points leader. Didn't see him much yesterday at New Hampshire. Still came back to finish 6th. Despite being a couple laps down early in the race. Ooh, Jeff Burt bounced off the wall. Contact with Jeff Green in the 1 as well.
Stay on your toes.
1.9 seconds off the lead. Wow, that was a big moment there. Still hasn't really loosened the, tightened the car up yet. Kind of dealt with it all race. He's led a substantial amount of laps, and he's running second currently, so it seems to be working for the most part. Still got at least a couple more pit stops left. We're in the Subway 400. Going to alternate to the different camera angles for the first time today. 1.4 second lead there. Kind of a congested glob of lap traffic coming up pretty soon as well. So about as steady into turn one as he could there. Really got the car to dive off pretty well. Ooh, contact there. Corner exit though. Maybe got back in the gas a little too soon. Try and hurry up and clear Brett Bodine. Labonte's got caught in the lap traffic the last few laps, and now, wow, look at how deep Biffle drove it into turns 1 and 2 to get by Fittipaldi. Hasn't quite cleared him. I'm not sure why the spotter called him clear. Good thing Biffle didn't slide up the track. Figured he still wasn't. Now he's clear off of turn 4 on Fittipaldi. Gonna try to pull that same move here on Michael Waltrip into turn 1. Waltrip kind of pinches him down the track a little bit, but Biffle's able to get around him. Waltrip beats him back to the gas off of turn 2. Biffle gives him the high side. Wow, big slide. Going into turns 3 and 4 now. Biffle again trying to close the gap on Bobby Labonte for the lead. Little contact with the back of Jerry Nadeau. Oh, and they got hooked bumper to bumper. Heavy contact behind for Michael Waltrip. Little change of events there. We stay green. Biffle just got right on the back of the 01. He couldn't get off of him. Well, that might make it a little harder for... Look at the run he got on Waltrip again there. Nadeau trying to block Biffle off. Biffle got really loose going into turn 1. He's got Jeff Burton to his outside. So when he had reeled in Labonte within a half a second, he quickly lost Bobby Labonte. 3-wide move off of turn 4 to get underneath. Teammate Jeff Burton once again. Jerry Nadeau, pretty good drive into turns 1 and 2 to clear them both as well. Another rival of Ashton Lewis coming up pretty soon. Currently riding that in-car camera. Pretty intense. Lap 181 this time at the line. Definitely wants to clear Ashton Lewis if he can. Way down the track. Trying to maybe give Lewis quite a bit of room. Doesn't want Lewis door checking him at all there. Clean pass though off of turn 4. Get right around him. Labonte got held up in the lap traffic once again, it looks like. Biffle starting to run a little bit more consistent lap times despite the heavy lap traffic too. Oh, Ricky Rudd trying to get back around Bobby Labonte. Look at Biffle looking all the way up to the outside. 3 wide off of turn 4 as he's sandwiched between the 0. Car to his inside of Elliott Sadler. Biffle tries to cut it down into turn 1. Contact with Sadler. That's going to hold him up. Still clears Jack Sprague on corner exit. Right as he was closing in on Bobby Labonte. Kind of lost him. It's kind of been the story of the run as he consistently tries to close in on the 18 car. Ricky Rudd's giving Labonte a run for his money right now as Bobby just can't clear him either. So again, Biffle tries to close the gap on the race leader. He's easily going to clear him off at turn 4. Biffle gets to the inside of Ricky Rudd now. Back to the far chase cam. Big run off of turn 4. Labonte slides up the track right in front of Biffle. Biffle with the run, though, down the front stretch into turn 1. Labonte led the last lap by about 0.06 of a second, but Greg Biffle will clear Labonte for the lead off of turn 2. Got him right back. So lead change at the start-finish line here. Greg Biffle back in the lead for the third different time today. Well, at least the third different, probably more than the third different time now. Oh, contact though with Ward Burton up the track. Comes right back down in front of Bobby Labonte. Holds on to the lead. Labonte now to the inside of Biffle off of turn 2, and Labonte's looking for the lead back himself. Power slide on the outside. Biffle tries to hang tight off of turn 4. Great battle going on. Slight bit of contact. Biffle still leads the lap at the line. Can Labonte clear Biffle off of turn 2? Biffle got tight, almost got in the wall, and Labonte by a mile clears Greg Biffle, but now heavy lap traffic back in front of the 18 car. Johnson coming to pit road. Not sure if that's a scheduled stop or not. 3 wide into turn 1. Ray Howard, welcome to the stream. Man, that was a big slide there. And again, Labonte holds on to the lead. Better than making contact, I guess, for Biffle's sake. Just trying to, again, take care of the race car. Another rival right around him there, Mike Skinner, as he'll stay to the inside and give Skinner plenty of room. Labonte got caught behind McMurray, and Labonte came down into the side of Biffle. I don't think he realized he was there in the center of the corner, and Biffle's back to the lead off of turn 2. We are nearing 200 laps to go at the Rock. Green flag pit stops for the third time today are going on. We are still caution-free. Battle for the lead has just concluded here. Biffle's gotten out to about a 1-second lead again. Contact with Kurt Busch. David Green tries to pinch him now. That's not making anything any nicer. Oh, and Green tries to wipe Biffle out into turn 3. Biffle's in the wall. And that will give Labonte the lead. Oh, contact, Ricky Rudd. Oh, man. I thought he was clear there for a second. Rudd was back to the outside again. Labonte came to pit road that time. Man, Biffle got it turned off into the corner pretty harshly. Ryan Newman may be trying to close that gap a little bit further behind. And Greg Biffle will be coming to pit road this time by, hopefully. Nope, Jeff Burton got right underneath him. And Burton kind of cutting off Biffle. Biffle wants to get to pit road a little sooner this time to not give Labonte as much as of an advantage. 3 wide into turn 1. So Biffle's going to pit a little earlier here, kind of go off schedule. Going down the racetrack Slides a little bit. Keeps it off the racetrack this time. Coming back up. And Greg Biffle onto pit road. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel. Damage will be repaired on the 16 team. And a wedge adjustment here of a half a round to tighten it up is the only adjustment on pit road. Yeah, Ray Howard, I couldn't really care less for the election, to be quite honest. No, I didn't vote this year. I didn't have a dog in the fight, as they would say. No mistakes, it looks like, on the 16 team, but a very slow stop. 22.7 seconds. A very slow pit stop for Biffle. Labonte already short pitted on him by a couple laps. And that is likely going to get Labonte the lead, who actually came in with the lead slightly on Biffle in the first place when they came to pit road. I saw Ryan Newman, who came in the same time as Biffle, beat him off of pit road by quite a bit, too. That was a very slow stop. There was no mistakes, but it was just a very slow pit stop. That was the slowest stop by far. That was 4.3 seconds slower than the last pit stop and 6.3 seconds slower than the fastest stop Biffle's team has had today. They're progressively getting slower over the course of the race, and he didn't even have as much damage as what he had in the prior pit stop as well. So it'll be lap 200 here, coming up pretty shortly. He's got a few lap cars right around. Oh, Steve Park about wiped out Biffle. I think Park got into the side of Elliott Sadler as well. Park is a lap down. I'm not sure what that was all about. Yeah, Biffle's still showing a lap down right now. Not all the lead lap cars have pit. David Green has tried to wipe out Biffle twice already today. Biffle's going to try to make quick work of the 37. Costed him the lead, of course, right before the green flag stops as well. Green sliding down the track, running Biffle way below the apron. Green slides way up the track and out of the way, though. Sadler even gets around him, too. Biffle just trying his best to run his own race. He's currently in 4th, and he is quite a ways off the race leader. It was likely Bobby Labonte once again. Now up to 3rd, as Tony Stewart was the last driver to hit pit road. So Labonte is the leader, Ryan Newman 2nd, Greg Biffle 3rd. After the cycling of pit stops, a very slow stop for the 16 team. Still got time to catch up. Just less than 200 laps to go here at Rockingham. And about 9.6 off the lead. It's not impossible. About a 4.8 second lead for Labonte over second place over second place Ryan Newman. Doesn't look like Mike Skinner's upset with Biffle enough anymore. It's quite a ways ahead of the 4th place car as well. Man, look at Skinner get the run. Off of turn 4, passed him right back. Biffle with another run underneath Skinner again. This time he's going to clear him off of turn 4. So Labonte might be a little bit faster on the track. Skinner was racing Biffle hard there for about a lap and a half as well. Seen that all season long. No easy match at any of these racetracks to get around the lap traffic. Schrader hugging Greg Biffle on that white line. Biffle still got around him clean. Well, he couldn't clear him. Maybe he didn't clear him cleanly, but trying to do what he can. He's still kind of holding Sadler behind him, despite the fact Sadler's at least one lap down. Biffle about 0.03 of a second faster than Labonte that last lap. Biffle tightened that car up a little bit, but it doesn't really feel like the car is really any tighter. It feels basically the same. It's what it did all race long. He only put a half a round of wedge into it, but he didn't want to go too aggressively with the adjustment, but maybe trying to not have it as free on corner entry. So I'm really sliding the tires. Then by the end of the run, the tires are getting pretty worn out. So Biffle's trying to counteract that. A little bit of an adjustment. The half round of wedge adjustment, there's no reason why that pit stop should have been as slow as it was. I mean, if it wasn't for the slow stop, he'd be sitting in second place. He would have came out ahead of Newman the way he came in ahead of Newman. And he'd only be about 5 seconds off the lead, too. So, a couple things obviously going into consideration there. Labonte a little bit faster that last lap now. Contact, Biffle and Benson there. Benson kind of squeezed him going into turn one. Biffle kind of ran up the track, middle of the corner, because of how tight he had to try to hold the bottom, and he just couldn't hold it. Benson didn't give him any room. Benson gives him a lot more room off of turn four this time. Running back cleanly as Biffle tries to get back around him. That time he will pass Benson cleanly. Hard on the brakes into turn one. He almost slid right into the 57 there of LePage. LePage bounces off the wall off of turn two. That allows Biffle to clear him. That track map makes it look like it's a lot more than a 10-second lead. How fast this track is. Again, we're seeing lap times in the 23-second lap barriers. Biffle's best lap, 23.3. Yeah, Michael, if you're still watching the stream, sorry I didn't get to the question earlier. Didn't see it down there, but the capture card that you need would be, for a PS2 at least, would be kind of an older one for sure. It can't be anything newer. The one I have is HD 60S Plus. It's an Elgato capture card. Elgatos are typically more expensive, so if you're not looking to go that route, you might have to look at a different option, but that's the one I've got for the capture card wise. And then you just got to make sure you have a PC. That was one mistake I made, is I had a Chromebook before I had this laptop that I currently have. Towards this, and I still have money left over because that's how expensive the Chromebook was. But so you don't need much. Just need something that will, that covers Windows 8, I believe, at least. I have Windows 10, So it'll last me a little bit longer. Jamie McMurray kind of squeezed Biffle off there too. We saw at Pocono in the second half of the race, really the latter portion of the race, that last 50 to 60 laps or so, nobody was cutting Greg Biffle any slack. And that has been the case here today since these guys came out of the pits on that last pit stop. It just seems like, wow, Biffle pushed really tight into the wall off of turn number 2. Tries to stay in front of McMurray. Hopefully he doesn't get too tight over the course of the long run. Otherwise, he might have to take that half around to wedge back out of the car again. Ooh, big wiggle there by Hermie Sadler. He gets to his inside off of turn 2. Drives it off hard into turns 3 and 4. Sadler washed up the track slightly and Biffle clears him. So Biffle trying to make about as quick of work as he can around these lap cars. Newman's faded back. He was about 4.5 seconds off the lead at the start of the run. He's more like about 6.5 seconds off the lead. So he's lost 2 seconds on Labonte over this run. Between Biffle and Labonte, they've been pretty equal for the most part. It's fluctuated anywhere between 9.5 seconds to 10.5 seconds off the lead. When Biffle came out of the pits, it was about 10.5. So Newman's still fading back too. But if Biffle needs a caution, he catches Ryan Newman, he's likely going to hook him. Payback for Newman taking out Biffle and ending his day at New Hampshire yesterday. We are still caution-free at lap 226, might I add. So we might not be caution-free if those guys get to battling for second. They haven't really seen each other today. I mean, I guess Newman, they would have saw each other, but they weren't close enough to really race each other yet today. Ashton Lewis not really that upset with Biffle anymore either. Well, now he might be after that contact. Turns 1 and 2. The capture card I got was about $100. Laptop obviously varies. I paid it off like instantly because I had enough money and I didn't feel like making payments on it. So, laptop I got was like $1,200, I want to say, but it varies. You don't need a very expensive one. Again, you just need something that's at least has Windows 8. If you're looking for something more long term, I got Windows 10. You just gotta make sure you have a PC. Man, Ashton Lewis almost got in the back of Biffle there. Biffle made a little bit more contact. Oh, Lewis into the back of Biffle as he runs him up the racetrack. Lewis tried to turn Greg Biffle around off of turn 4. Biffle now hard on the brakes to the inside of Jerry Nadeau. The car's still a little loose on entry to the corners despite it being tightened up, but now it's almost a little tighter on exit. That's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to tighten it up on the entrance. And the adjustment just never really did that. But it definitely made it tighter on corner exit, and that is, I think, kind of slowing these consistent lap times down about halfway through the run. So Biffle might just end up moving that back anyway because it doesn't feel like the corner entrance has really helped much. See it slide around there. A little contact with Sterling Marlin. Oh, more contact. Trying to duck in line behind him. He was not clear. Kind of saw that earlier in the day, too. Jeff Gordon's starting to reel in Greg Biffle right now all of a sudden for third. You kind of wonder where Gordon's come from. You haven't seen him up at the front all day. Not Jeff Gordon, at least. Saw Robbie Gordon in the top 5 early in the race. Robbie qualified 4th. Yeah, Jeff Gordon trying to perhaps close the gap. Now he got stuck behind Nadu and Marlin. Barely clears Casey Mears there through turns 1 and 2. Ooh, contact. Jack Sprague. Greg Biffle. Turns 3 and 4. Biffle slides up the track. Really wide. He had Sprague cleared, luckily, and still has him cleared on corner exit. Sprague just doesn't have the speed to back underneath the 16. Biffle jams the brakes into turns 1 and 2 now to get underneath of Christian Fittipaldi. And he can't clear him. Oh, man, again, he just tries to duck in line behind a car. That's the 3rd time we've seen him down the back straightaway just try to duck in line. I think there's a hitbox on the car or something. Feels like I'm clear, I'm just not. Not severely heavy damage to this number 16. Got a car up in smoke on the inside of the racetrack. A blown engine for Rusty Wallace. What a tough break. Wallace was running in 5th place and has blown an engine. That will move Dale Jarrett back to the top 5, who was really faded today. Why is Dale Jarrett's faded as much as he has? So on green flag run, I'm surprised with it being a short track that we have this many cars on the lead lap, but again, it's still been a pretty good race. Contact. Again, Ricky Rudd, Greg Biffle that time. Rudd stays to the outside. Rudd a lap down, so was Robbie Gordon. I believe they're probably battling for position with one another. Biffle about 8.5 seconds off the lead, and he's just about a second off of Ryan Newman for 2nd place. Finally clear Rudd off of turn 2 that time. Biffle to the inside, Ward Burton. Newman definitely got caught up in some heavy lap traffic. Mark Martin was right around him. Obviously probably had to get back around Ricky Rudd and Ward Burton, who are back here too, I'd have to imagine. Working on Terry Labonte right now. Oh, contact Biffle, and Ward Burton got to get... Oh, no! Huge crash in turns 3 and 4. Ward Burton and Robbie Gordon up and over. How did that happen?
The race came down to the wire with a very close finish.
Yeah, these NASCAR Winston Cup races can be hundreds of laps, yet when all is said and done, sometimes they're just a few tenths or even less separating the leaders. That was incredible.
Greg Biffle went backwards after a top 10 start.
You know, sometimes these teams make changes to the car.
Biffle was in the top 3 all day long. Again.
But they also run the risk of making it worse. I just don't think they ever got it back the way it was.
Greg Biffle probably won't be hanging out after the race with Ward Burton.
You don't make it into Winston Cup racing without being competitive.
Yeah, we gotta...
Sometimes these instincts get a little out of hand.
We got to go back through the replay here and see exactly what happened in that accident. Biffle got hung up on Ward Burton. They ended up in the wall, and I think Robbie Gordon came in there at full speed and just ran right in the back of both of them. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, oh, for sure. So Robbie Gordon, as they came back down the track, Gordon had gotten into Ward Burton, and Burton just shot right into Biffle. Yeah, there it was. I mean, Biffle didn't even really get hit by Robbie Gordon. It was just a ricochet from... It's unbelievable the terrible luck we've had with this game the last 2 weeks. I mean, we have good runs. Yeah, I mean, we just get wiped out. I mean, that was an accident where the car got tight, and we got up into Ward Burton. We couldn't get off of him. That's fine. But then Robbie Gordon, at full speed, he never checked up. I mean, just full speed, ran right in the back of Ward Burton. Both him and Robbie go up and over right there, and Biffle just kind of got collected into it. Crazy. That is just unbelievable. How bad of luck. This keeps on getting. Tony Stewart goes on to win his first race of the season here in the Subway 400 at Rockingham, North Carolina Speedway. Unbelievable. I mean, it's such a freak accident every time, too. Like, we're running good, all race. And then just one small thing happens, and we DNF. Whether it's our fault or not, and majority of the time it's not. I mean, the game glitching at the Daytona Road Course was not our fault. By far wasn't our fault. We were leading that. We were just running, leading, game glitched. We hopped over an invisible curb. It wasn't even any curbing. You know, we just kind of ran the inside of the track. And as soon as we came back off the ground, we got rear-ended by another car. And then Ryan Newman just flat out dumping us at New Hampshire for no reason. I mean, obviously I turned him earlier in the race, but that was because he dumped me 3 weeks in a row before that. That's just crazy. Now this, I mean, running third. And even if he didn't catch Bobby Labonte, who looked like he had the strongest car in the second half of the race, still top 3 finish. Still getting points. And that just did not happen today. Ward Burton comes back to finish 5th. 4th. I don't even know how. He was involved in that accident. Went up and over. I don't even know how he was still running after that. It looked like 2 cars DNF'd in that accident, I believe. Obviously, Biffle was one of them. We'll take you through the finishing order here. Tony Stewart with the win. Kurt Busch second. Michael Waltrip with the top 3, followed by Ward Burton. Mark Martin rounds out the top 5. Ricky Rudd, Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Green with another top 10, and Sterling Marlin rounds out the top 10 in today's race. It's going to shake the running order quite a bit. That caution, Newman was in 2nd. He finishes 17th. Jeff Gordon was in 4th. He finished 19th. Bobby Labonte, who led over 100 laps, finished 20th. Unbelievable. Race leader, Tony Stewart, only led 11 laps. 31 lead changes, and just that one lone caution. And again, another instant where this stuff happens in the last third of the race. We were 2 pit stops away from the end. We were likely going to have another one within about, again, 10 to 15 laps. I mean, it's usually right towards the end of a fuel run when this happens. It's just unbelievable. This is going to be a tough hole to get out of to win the championship. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say it's going to take a miracle to win. But, I mean, we're going to have to do something. Greg Biffle's going to have to go out and win like 10 races to end the season. Something. We got more than 10 races. We got 20 races to go, but I mean, we're going to have to win half of them and probably at least finish top 10 consistently just to get back into it. Take a look at the point standings here in a little bit. We'll take a look at who all DNF'd as well. Bobby Labonte led the most laps today with 104 laps led, and Biffle is the only driver knocked out of that. I don't know how Robbie Gordon and Ward Burton didn't DNF in that accident and how we were the only one, because it looked like Ward Burton and Robbie Gordon got the worst of it. Because when Gordon hit Ward Burton, it looked like they both flipped on the impact. And Burton, kind of barrel rolled into Greg Biffle, and that is what caused Biffle to DNF. So I don't even know how that happened. Like, I don't know how, like, him barrel rolling into me, DNF, whatever. It's just tough to swallow. So 2 DNFs today. Bill Elliott, very early, engine blown. Greg Biffle, accident at lap 240. Takes him out of the running. And in the end of the race, we had 20 drivers finish on the lead lap here today. We'll take a look at the point standings here before we get out of here. Next full race live stream again tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be Chicagoland NASCAR Heat 5 Xfinity Series. Next race on the season, the Coke 600, but before that we have the All-Star race. So at least it's a short race. We should get to the end of that one. And again, those will both be next week. Likely before Thanksgiving. So Stewart getting his first win of the year as the points leader. That's the worst thing for Biffle, to see the points leader win in another race where he just wasn't running that well, and gets a good finish with Biffle DNFing early in the race. So it randomizes the finishing order. So Tony Stewart with the 77-point lead now over Ryan Newman. Still within one race. Dale Jr. in third. Ricky Rudd has jumped up to fourth. He had a comeback performance today. Dale Jarrett still in fifth. Despite all of that. But now only the top 3 are within one race of the points lead. Kevin Harvick in 6th. Michael Waltrip moves up to 7th. Great run in the standings this year for him. Kenseth, Jeff Green, and Jimmy Johnson round out the top 10 of the point standings. Johnson, the top 10 performance today. And Greg Biffle has fallen from 16th to 22nd in the standings after today's race, losing 6 spots in one race. And now is 659 back. 4 races ago before Pocono, Greg Biffle was only 313 points off the lead. About a race and a half. Now he's over 3 races off the lead. It's going to take a valiant effort. Season is not over. Again, 20 races still to go. So just over half the season remains, but Biffle's going to have nothing but solid performances going forward. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the race, the commentary, the video in general. We do these full race live streams with the realistic broadcasts on the daily. We'll go back to NASCAR Heat 5 tomorrow. Again, Xfinity Series at Chicagoland at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the start time of that one. So help me out again by subscribing. For more content such as that, other daily NASCAR content as I start my young broadcasting career to hopefully one day living my dream of broadcasting real races within the NASCAR realm. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate the support as always, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night.